An old and dear friend, Paul Heffernan, PJH, as I remember your badge used to be down in the CME, all right?
Yes, sir.
Paul Heffernan is joining us. He was a clerk on the floor of the CME for many, many years. We go back, we probably spent 15 or 20 years working together on and off in different places.
Yeah.
Me in New York, you in Chicago. And when I think of Paul Heffernan, there's two quotes that come to mind. Famous one, and I'm sure you'll tell this story. What's the matter? You don't like money as much as you used to, from the C&D floor trader down there. And the other classic is the story that you told our mutual friend Bruce about we're here for a good time, not a long time. So I'll let you tell those two, and then you can go on and fill in the rest.
Well, I appreciate our friendship, Fred. We've known each other a long time. We both started. My first story about you is I got out of college and I started at Levy Commodities,
Lori
and
Levy, right?
they had a relationship with Chase. So I was quoting you the floor prices of the Deutschmark. And then if you guys saw an opportunity to arbitrage, you would
Right. We were
tell
doing the
me to buy or
catfish
sell on
scrub.
the floor, and then you guys would hit the cash market and you would lock in a profit.
Right.
But I remember distinctly you screaming at me an awful lot, Fred, when I would miss it, and an Irish guy, very sensitive, it would really hurt my feelings. And then I come to New York to meet you, and you're not a tall guy, and I go, this guy's. I wanted to hit you when I saw you.
Story that I remember. I don't know if you remember this one. It was a busy day. A lot of stuff was going on, and you missed one, and I didn't want to scream, I didn't want to yell. I said, "That's one, Paul. You know, your famous one was, don't worry, Morgan. Stanley got them. Stanley, you didn't get them.
Yeah.
Stanley got them, right?" And then you missed another one, Paul. That's two. And then finally you missed the third one. I said, that's three. And it was busy. It was a crazy day. Stuff's going
Yeah.
on all around me. And I leaned over to Anthony. I said, I'm off the desk for 5 minutes. He said, what are you talking about? I got to talk to Paul. I'm off the desk for 5 minutes. I put the phone down. I said, call me on the number, the office number.
Yeah.
And you called. And I said, he says, hey, listen, I'm really sorry. I said, no, I got to tell you a story about the olden days. The guy was just got married, and he's in his on his horse and buggy with his wife, and the horse stumbles, and his wife, and he looks at the horse and he says, "That's one." The horse stumbles a second time, and he looks at the horse and he said, "That's two." And finally, the horse stumbles the third time. He takes out his gun. He shoots the horse. He tells his wife, "Come on, we got to walk into town." She says, "What are you talking about? You can't do that. It's a 2 mile walk into town." And he looks at his wife and he said, "That's one." And I remember telling you that, and I didn't miss a trade for the rest of the day.
Ah, yeah. They were great times. Really,
Yeah, great characters
it
down
was a
there.
lot of stress and a lot of pressure, but we didn't. It's just what we did. So it was, but it wasn't. It was just
Yeah,
the day. So it was a great.
all characters down there. I mean,
Oh, yeah, a lot
huge.
of characters. A lot
Real,
of
everybody wanted to stand out. Ricky with his pink jacket, right?
yeah. Well, Ricky was.
Married
Uh,
the same woman twice, if I remember correctly,
oh yeah,
right?
yeah, he swam back to Alcatraz. Uh, he was so short and little, no, his clerk couldn't see him, so he went and got a pink jacket. And says, "You'll never miss me now."
That's right. That's right.
Uh, yeah, but great markets. It's interesting today. I'm still trading today, but it's that back then it was fun, and you had
Yeah.
all the different personalities, and every day was a 3 act play, and you had public
You,
humiliation, private apology, so it was
you
very
didn't
fun.
want to
But
miss a thing. You didn't want to miss a day, even if you were
no,
sick. It doesn't
no,
matter
you
how
wanted
bad.
to go in.
That's right.
But there was a granular texture to the market. Like you could feel it and you could sense the fear and the other thing
Yeah.
was if a guy said 10 on 100 and a guy said sold, it was there, and you had 50 sets of eyes and 50 sets of ears, and said no, he sold them to you. That's your trade. And now on the computer, it's just algorithms going at a millionth of a second, and you go to hit something and it's not there, and then you go to cancel and you got it. So it's just made it not very.
And there's market makers manipulating the rates. I heard stories years ago that if you moused over a price, it would move. If you
Yeah,
moused over the offer, it would move a tick because they know you wanted to buy.
yeah, no. There's no way that I can't prove anything, but if they can hack all these other things, I'm pretty sure they hacked the 1987 operating system that the Merck is still using.
That's
Uh,
right.
so, and it's probably not even at the Merck. It's about there's 12,000 servers from all over the world coming in, so
Right.
they can get on a server and. Uh, I'm sure there's nefarious activity taking place. There always has.
Nothing would surprise me, right?
Yeah,
If we learned anything in these last several years, is that nothing would surprise you.
yeah. So, and just going on to like today's market, what most people don't understand is that we have inserted $20 trillion in the last 10 years into the system. And what that means is the government owes that 20 trillion, but somebody gets that 20 trillion. So between all these, I don't want to, I do want to pick on green energy projects or whatever, and so it's kind of like connected. It's that old saying: if you're not at the table, you're probably on the menu.
Yeah.
But it's the bigger people getting all these contracts and getting this money, and so the wealth gap is just huge. So I went back and I looked at what did the stock market do in the Weimar Republic, and where's the inflation? The inflation is stocks. The money is just going up, and I'm like, oh, it's so overpriced. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. But there's 20 trillion new dollars coming in, and so it's probably going to go a lot. And so in the Weimar Republic, it was very volatile, but the stock market went up, and I think that's what we're going to see: a lot of volatility. But the markets, there's 7 trillion on the sidelines,
Yeah.
so it's probably going to go a lot higher, but a lot of volatility. So
What do you think about the dollar?
I just find it.
Do you trade that much, or do you just trade in stocks most
No,
of the
I
time?
don't. I trade hogs and S&Ps, gold, and oil, and once in a while the Nasdaq. But full disclosure, haven't really lost much money in the last 4 or 5 years, but haven't made a ton.
Right.
So it's become uh,
There's no edge anymore.
there's no edge.
There's
Well,
no
there's
edge.
just the edge of a knife coming right
That's
at your throat.
that's
Uh, so I've started trading options a little bit more, and I'm having a little more success there because with the futures, like no matter where you put your stop, it seems it gets you. And
right.
the thing with the options is you have time because the worst it can go is zero. It can't go anymore. So if you spend
Right.
$500 on options, the most you can lose is $500. But it can go down to $10, and then all of a sudden, in a day and a half, come back and be worth 700, and you can make some money. So
Right.
it's still
I,
about discipline and money management and
I use options a lot in my personal portfolio for two different ways. One is if I'm uncomfortable, I'll buy some S&P puts. 2 3 months out there, some 20 delta S&P puts, just so I could sleep at night. Like I'm gonna put,
yeah,
you know, 10 grand aside, and if I lose it, I know I could sleep at night. If the market does have a gap down, if you have that ten
yeah,
percent move, I know I could sleep. And the other is I use it for offensive bets, where I'll take some 20 delta calls and put them in there. I've overall, I think I'm flat because I've wasted a lot of money on these sleepless nights where I buy these
yeah,
low delta puts just to protect. But I made just as much on the low delta calls that I buy. So, but it makes me sleep at night, so I'm happy. It's insurance.
yeah,
If you use it as an insurance product, it
yeah.
works.
All,
Yeah.
all, all, all things in moderation, as I like to say. including
Football people.
including moderation.
I thought about you the other day. I was watching a Notre Dame football game with a friend, and I said, I know a guy who got thrown out of that field, right? For soccer.
Yeah, yeah, that was a good one. I'm playing soccer for Western Michigan. We're playing at Notre Dame, and this guy comes on, and the ball comes out of the end, and I'm running back down the field, and he's running behind me, and he hits me like 3 times, and I turn around, I go, "You hit me in the head, I'm going to kill you." And he hits me again, so I turn around, I slug him right in the mouth, and of course, as I'm doing that, the referee
I'm
turns
right
and
behind you.
looks, and so I get a red card, and the ref says, "You'll never play in Indiana ever again." The next week we were playing at Goshen. I walked up and I go, "Hey, how you doing?" uh, so yeah, good memories at Notre Dame.
Yeah. Some of the funny things I think about when I think about you. Well, there's a lot of funny ones. I told you, the classic one was the story with Bruce. Do you remember that? Penny
Yeah,
stock. It was a penny
I,
stock.
yeah, I had this penny stock. I'm pretty sure it was I've been a gold, silver hawk my whole life,
Right?
and my buddy called me the other day and he says, "Dude, you've been hawking silver forever." I goes, "Please tell me you still have some." I go, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got about $10 worth. Thank you very much. I bet it all on options and lost it all." But Bruce asked me, I told him about the stock, and he goes, "Whoa, how much you got in it?" I go, "Well, I had $5,728 in my account, and that's how much I have in it."
We're here for a good time, not a long time.
We're here for a good time, not a long time. Let's let it roll.
That's right.
Yeah,
That
and
was a
not
great.
a very good strategy for long
That's
term success.
that's right. I had it and I went with it. Right.
That's right. Yeah, hey, you meet the same people on the way down as you do on the way up.
That's right. It's all a honeymoon straight after all.
Yes, yes, yes. So
That's
there were
right.
some great uh, comedy things that are fun. The floor was there was all kinds of pandemonium and crazy, buy and sold, but there was a lot of downtime too, where there was nothing really going on, and so guys would pull pranks on guys, and then bets on guys. My clerk can eat 6 McDonald's hamburgers in 2.5 minutes, and then chug a gallon of milk, and it turns out the clerk couldn't, but it was fun watching him try.
That's right.
But my favorite one of
You
all
would say
time was,
50 pair of
uh,
eyes watching it happen, right?
yeah, the I don't know if you guys play 16-inch softball in New York, but Chicago softball is a 16-inch ball, so
Right.
it's a ball about that big, and it's fun. No gloves, and it's hard to you got to have a hell of an arm to throw it. So at the Merc was on the river. And
Right.
so they bet this guy went out and bet this guy says, "Oh, he's got an unbelievable arm. He could throw a 16-inch softball all the way over the river, and it's a long throw." And there's like no way. So they make a bet, and so kind of word gets around the floor. This guy, and so tomorrow we're gonna do it. So at like 1:30 after the currencies close, he's out on the other side of the river, and now there's 100 people out, and they're talking, and they're making all these side bets. Now there's 200 people. Now by the time he goes to throw the ball, there's got to be 500 to 800 people outside watching this. Everybody with 10, $20 on it. Uh, and he makes it. He throws it all the way across the river, and makes it. So most, I mean, I don't think I could throw it halfway across the river.
Halfway across.
It's an amazing. It was an amazing feat. So that was a great fun one. But tons of bets and
Yeah,
crazy
everybody's thinking about
scenarios and
it. Yeah. I
uh,
used to love the breakfast place downstairs. What was the
yeah.
name of it?
Um,
In the Merc itself, in the CME itself.
Rivers was a good one. But are
River.
you talking about Lou Malnati's
Lou Mitchell's we used to
or
go
Lou
to.
Mitchell's? We used to
Lou
go to Lou
Mitchell's, we used
Mitchell's.
to get
Yeah,
the milk
Lou
duds.
Malnati's. Yeah,
We used to get the milk duds, right? They made
yeah,
you
yeah.
wait.
From the creepy old guy. Yeah. Good times. Great
Yeah.
times.
Fun stuff.
So it's you know, we had some great memories, and the floor was just you know, like I say, and you wouldn't even know guys. You'd only know a guy by his badge. You know, the
Right.
guy go, do you know? Uh, uh, um, well, this we had this guy named Shaky. His badge was Shaky, and so we go to Vegas. This is when I was in the Peso. We go to Peso to Vegas, and I'm standing in line behind him, and he's checking in, and she goes, "Your name?" He goes, "Mike Myers." I go, "Your name is Mike Myers?" Now, I've stood next to the guy for 5 years, and I have no idea what his name is because the only thing I ever called him is Shaky. So, you know, there are tons of people you know just by their face, you
Right.
know, but if you ask them what their name was, no idea. No
Right.
idea who they were.
You were close to people. I mean, sitting in that pit. How many people were in the Deutschmark pit when you were doing it?
Uh,
The back
had
month
to
paper
be,
Ribs, right? There was another
yeah,
character back
yeah.
there.
Yeah, I just played golf with I'm playing golf with Ribs on Friday.
Wow,
He's 80 years old now and still great and a fantastic cheater at golf. Uh,
nothing's changed.
yeah, yeah, like most of your friends.
Who
Uh,
was the other guy? I'm not responsible for fast markets.
Howard Blumenfeld.
I'm not
I'm
responsible.
not responsible for stops.
That's
yeah, yeah. It was so crazy. You
Danny.
know, you'd be telling me to you know buy 100 or something, and I'm trying to get a hold of my broker, and he's you know getting pushed around and shoved around. So I'm trying to give it to this guy. It was just crazy. It was just absolute pandemonium at times. I mean, I remember one time I jumped up to sell a guy 50, and I'm between these two monster guys, and we're getting pushed around, and now I'm up in the air, and I don't come down for about a minute and a half. I'm just stuck between them, you know, trying to sell and trying to buy. Uh, and then I had a big deck in my hand, so I had all this paper orders, and a guy comes over and tries to summon me and hits the deck out of my hand. And I'm like, oh, I was so mad. I come running back in the pit, and I slug him as hard as I can, right in the face. And this guy was like a Cro Magnum guy, so he doesn't even know that I hit him. So now I get written up by the exchange, and I go to the hearing. I go, no. I went to sell him 50, and I must have hit him when I sold him, you know, 50. And everybody in the room was like, yeah, okay, sure. They let me off easy though, but it was just so much pressure. And the crazy thing about it was the currencies were 24 hours.
Right.
So even though I would fill orders and stuff, but I'd have positions on, and you know, your wife is like, you know, it's 9:30. She's like, will you stop? You know, what are you doing? Well, I got a position, honey. You know,
Yeah.
so
It was, you know, the first cell phones that I had were like suitcases. You know, you
oh
take
yeah,
those things home. But I used to have the guy at Chase Singapore, Tang was his name, would call you at 3 o'clock in the morning, and the phone would ring, and it's like he's not calling me with good news.
no,
He's
no,
not
no,
calling me to tell me how
no,
much money I made.
no,
It's
no.
much calling to say, what do you want to do? You know, we're right about to liquidate that position. Do you want us? Do you want to give it a couple of more minutes? Another hour? What do you want to do? Another 50 pips? Like, oh,
Uh,
that was stressful.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. But
yeah,
you know, as you say, there was so much stress and then so much downtime that you had to find a way to alleviate that pressure, to alleviate that stress. And that's where
yeah.
all the jokes and the fun times came in, and and it was very, I wouldn't say brilliant minds, but very quick-witted people in the industry back
Oh
then.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
And there was a ton of guys who were fabulous traders, made a ton of money, who never went to college. Some didn't even
right,
graduate high school, but
right,
but they had like street smarts and just be able to read. You know, the thing about trading is you have to be able to make a quick decision, but to be a long term trader, you have to admit you're wrong and get out. And most people have a very difficult time admitting they're wrong. I mean, just look at your marriage. I mean, how many times have you been right? I mean, never. so, uh,
I remember
so
Howard Green. Do you remember Howard Green,
yeah,
Chuck?
yeah,
He used
yeah,
to say, "I don't want to be right. I just want to make money."
yeah,
He says, "I don't want to be right. I could be
yeah,
wrong a lot. I just want to make money."
yeah. And Mort Levy, one of the Levy brothers,
Yeah,
his famous words were, "I never think the market will tell you what to do."
yeah,
And if you look at it today, like the market is moving so fast and all these algorithms stuff, but the charts are still the charts. So
yeah.
if you take all the you probably, and that's why options are great because you can trade a little bit longer term, but the charts still kind of reflect the numbers. And it just
When,
moves so fast today, and you have to have your, what I found especially is you have to have exits in,
hmm
because by the time you go, I can't tell you how many times you go to grab the mouse and it's too late. It's already gone. Like,
Right.
so if you put something on, you kind of have to have a defined system. And here's my targets, and here's my stop, and either you're right or wrong. But if you don't put it in, all of a sudden, boom, it's a little flash and it's right back.
When I do trading seminars, when I give trading seminars, I always try and impart to people it's discipline. But the discipline is that you have to know where you're getting in and where you're getting out for both profits and losses.
Yep.
Because you'll get into a trade, you buy them at 20, and all of a sudden it's at 60, and you wanted to get out at 60, but it happens so fast. You say,
Yeah.
"Well, I'm not going to get out now. There's much more in this," and now it's
Yeah.
back down to 40. You say, okay, well, if it
Yeah.
gets back to 60, you'll get out. And then it goes down to 20 again. And now you rode what was a profit into a loss, and you say,
Yeah.
well, I can't sell this now. Right. And that's
Yeah.
really where the discipline comes in. It's important to be disciplined in your stop loss because you
Oh,
can run,
100%.
you question yourself forever. But
Yeah.
it's just as important to be disciplined to take profits.
Yeah.
The old quote,
Perfect
J.P. Morgan.
example today. I got a buddy that we're trying out this thing, since the market is, the futures are so skittish and crazy. We're starting to trade Nvidia puts every day, or calls, either one,
Mhm.
Nvidia options, because it charts really technically pretty good, and it's the most heavily traded thing in the world. So you don't have these gaps or these giant spikes because there's so much volume going, and it moves fast, but you can get in and out. So we have this system, uh, and today we bought calls, and I was working. We bought 110s on the calls, and I was working 140s, but I just put the 140 in. I was kind of guessing like that's where, because if the stock opens up at, say today it was like, if it
134.
trades 138 70, it's going to trade 139 according to our system.
Right.
And so I go, hey, text me if it pays, because I on my phone I got the Nvidia, the open, high, close. It's not correct. So he texts me that it just paid, and I look at it. I'm this 136 bid, and I'm like, oh shoot, okay. So I try to sell the 136s, miss them. Try to sell the 135s, miss them. Try to sell the 134s, miss them.
Oh,
And then I put them in at 133. I go, it's 131 bid. I go, oh God, come on, please, please. And I got my 133s and happy. But you just have to say no, hit the market and just get out,
now,
because
when you're trading these options, are you trading the deltas on them, or are you just buying it for spec and getting out, make 3 or 4
yeah,
points?
no, we're
Yeah.
saying we're gonna risk um X amount, and and uh, and if it goes, it goes. But so it's the kind of thing where you can, we're just starting out trying it, so we're going to say, okay, we're going to risk, $100, $150 to make $150. But then once we make, $200, we're gonna start adding more and more, and just kind of, and then if you lose, you go back. But it's a way to I don't want to risk 2,000 yet, but in another month and a half, I might. If I can slowly
Build it up.
build it up. And it's the thing of doing the same thing every day with the same disciplined stop, the same disciplined entry, and some days there's no trade, so
Well,
you get
I like the idea. There's so much volatility in that. You buy a 30 Delta call and you sell, you know, 30 shares because you buy a one lot, it's 100 shares, right?
yeah,
So 30 Delta call gives you effectively a point 0.3 position. So
yeah,
you sell 30 shares. And then if that goes down 5 or 10 points, all right, buy it. I paid for the option. So now I got a free option and just trade that delta around. Because
yeah,
volatility is that's what you're buying and selling is the
yeah,
volatility in the market. Some people
absolutely.
buy direction, some people buy volatility. And
And
I took a course from O'Connor one time, and the guy said anybody can make money in options, buying and selling it. That's easy. The real money's made trading the volatility.
yeah,
I'm like, pricing it
and
properly.
the fees and the stocks and the options are way cheaper,
Yeah,
way cheaper. The commissions and futures, you know, some of these places are just killing you $3-4 a round turn. You're like, if you trade 10 cars, you've already spent $40.
right,
I used to trade 5,000 cars a day, so
right.
for me, it's been a very difficult transition to the screen of. And the other thing that helped was when you had the pit, you had 50, 70, 100 guys, and you could joke around and you had someone to talk to, and then maybe you filled some orders, so you're doing something. But at home, alone, in front of the screen, just by yourself, you can go steer crazy, and this is the telltale sign of a trade you should never do. When you go, well, maybe, no, maybe's not a good trade. You know,
I
hope
used
and prayer is not a good strategy.
I used to read Dennis Gartman all the time, and he used to say there are three positions that you can have. You can be long, you can be short, and you can be square. It's
Yeah,
okay to be square. You don't have to always be in it.
yeah,
If you're long, then you're going to decide if you're going to be very long or just long.
yeah,
You know,
and never add to losers.
yeah,
That's a good one. My buddy got to know this guy Tom Willis, and he had Willis and Jenkins, one of the biggest funds in the world. And he said, if I wrote a book, I'd have 365 pages. First page, get out of losers. Second page, get out of losers. And every page would be repeat the same thing: get out of losers. If it's
that's
right, you can let it go. But if you're wrong, get out. You can always get back in. But
exactly.
like I said earlier, it's very difficult for people to admit they're wrong. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah. Well, Paul, it's been about we've run this about 30 minutes, and we've talked about some old times. I think we've had a great catch up. We certainly have to do this again.
Yeah,
You're
absolutely.
when you're
Uh,
free.
if I start killing it on this option thing, I'll give you all a tutorial on what to do.
That's right. Lay out your system. But
Yeah,
well, listen, thanks again, and I hope to see you next time I'm in Chicago. And when you're in New York, by all means, look me up. We'll get
awesome,
together.
Fred. Thank you. God
All
bless.
right, my friend. You too. Be well.
Ciao.